Donald Trump tore up yet another page in the Republican rule book this week with his full-throated re-endorsement of Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore, giving political cover to a man accused of sexual misconduct by multiple women, including one who says he touched her when she was 14. Many Republican leaders followed him, or didn't protest. The Republican National Committee, which withdrew support 3 weeks ago with Trump's consent, is now helping the campaign again. Even Senate leaders, among the strongest voices calling for Moore to step away from the race, dealt with the strategy shift with quiet resignation. Now, what seemed unthinkable just a month ago falls squarely within the realm of possibilities. Moore, if he wins next Tuesday's election, could arrive in Washington in good standing with the White House, and as a force to be reckoned with in a wary Senate. We don't want to have a liberal Democrat in Alabama, believe me, Trump said Tuesday, when asked why he had reversed his decision to let the party cut ties with Moore. Trump's willingness to buck some of the conventions of politics has challenged many of his GOP brethren's instincts. From the Access Hollywood tape in which Trump boasted of sexual assault to the daily controversies promoted with presidential tweets, they find their own views drowned out and sometimes contradicted by Trump's unexpected responses in the political arena. President Trump on December 5 said, "We don't want to have a liberal Democrat in Alabama." Doug Jones, the Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate in Alabama, will face Roy Moore, the Republican nominee, in a special election on December 12. The Washington Post: in the case of Moore, Trump saw an opportunity to help push Moore to victory, and he worried he would probably take blame if Moore lost. He also didn't like the idea of backing Moore less than wholeheartedly, according to aides. Trump sees the vote as important, says Chris Reddy, a longtime friend of Trump, who speaks with him regularly. He also doesn't like the media jihad against Moore, with accusations dropped just a few weeks before the election. Trump certainly doesn't like it because he was victimized by it in his mind. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, RKY, who has called for Moore to leave the race, said Tuesday that he has had no change of heart on Moore, did not expect the National Republican Senatorial Committee to re-establish ties with Moore, and still predicted an immediate Ethics Committee investigation if Moore is elected, to look into the misconduct allegations. But McConnell also refused to comment on Trump's decision to direct the National Party to re-establish ties. Several of McConnell's colleagues also did their best to dodge questions about Trump's judgment. "Doesn't really matter what I think at this point, right?" Senator Tim Scott RSC said, when asked about the decision. "I'm not going to try to run the RNC," Senator Roy Blunt Armo said. Lisa Murkowski, Republican Alaska, said she would not endorse Moore. "The president's going to do what the president's going to do," she said. The only Republicans actively opposing the president's moves find themselves on the margins. Former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney warned Monday that Moore in the Senate would be a stain on the GOP and on the nation. Senator Jeff Flake, Republican Arizona, who has announced he will not run for re-election, wrote a $100 check to Democrat Doug Jones, Moore's opponent. "Country over party," Flake wrote on the check. For the White House, the general Republican deference is welcome. One lesson for the Trump team from the 2016 presidential campaign was that the voting public put less stock in questions of personal conduct than many in the political class expected. "There's a difference for voters between what offends you and what affects you," explained Kellyanne Conway, Trump's campaign manager who is now counselor to the president. Moore has denied the allegations of sexual misconduct and giving alcohol to minors, who say they dated him in the late 1970s and early 1980s, when he was in his 30s. Moore has allowed for the possibility that he dated teenagers over the age of 16 at the time, though he says he does not remember those relationships. In late November, RNC chairwoman Ronna Romney McDaniel called the allegations against Moore very concerning. On Tuesday, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders said Trump continues to feel the same way. "He didn't say they were lying," Sanders said of the accusers. "The president's position hasn't changed, still finds those concerning." Democrats plan on testing the political wisdom of this position in the 2018 midterm elections. They hope to use the party's embrace of Moore as a weapon in other races around the country, much like Democrats pummeled Republicans for the ill-informed comments about rape and pregnancy by Missouri Senate candidate Todd Akin in 2012. Whether he wins or loses, Republicans own him, and we